I wanted to breastfeed both of my children, and I was quite determined that that was the route that I was going to take. When I gave birth to my first, I was quite unwell, as was he, and I found the whole process really quite difficult. I had no idea that you could feel your womb contracting while breastfeeding in the early stages. And by contracting, I mean literally like when you're in labor. I found holding my babies incredibly difficult, which meant that positioning them well was almost impossible. I assumed that everyone had the dexterity and strength to do what was being demonstrated, but the midwives also had that assumption, which I found quite difficult to explain that no, when I say I'm going to drop my baby, I'm not being dramatic. I actually will drop my baby if you ask me to hold him in this position. I was told, like so many other birthing parents, that if your nipples hurt, it meant the baby isn't latched correctly. It hurts every single time. So I constantly felt like I was doing it wrong. So I stopped, especially as my eldest was going jaundice. So, jaundice, you have to feed your baby regularly. He was sort of at risk of having to have UV therapy, and I just felt like I was completely failing. With my youngest, he was born without a suck reflex, so I didn't establish breastfeeding with him. He was syringe fed when I left the hospital. And I didn't know that you could try to establish it at a later date or in combination feeding. So it felt like it was going to be all or nothing. So even though I expressed breast milk for him, I just didn't, again, manage to establish breastfeeding because I just didn't have that support to do so. I have since found out that there are often breastfeeding support workers who can help you establish breastfeeding before you leave hospital. If breastfeeding is important to you and you're finding it hard to get started, ask to speak to one before you're discharged. I know of birthing parents that have stayed in hospital for a couple of days simply to get breastfeeding established before leaving. So the support is there. You just need to know that it's there and know to ask for it.